Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki's government did not win a vote of confidence in the Sejm today. Only 190 deputies supported the government, while 266 voted against it. Earlier, the Prime Minister delivered an address in which he recalled the achievements of 8 years of law and justice rule.
President Andrzej Duda took part in the session of the Sejm of the 10th term. In his address, Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki stressed that he received the mission to form a government on behalf of the 7.5 million Poles who voted for law and justice, and because of the nearly 12 million Poles who cast a referendum vote. The office can be held for a longer or shorter time, but serving Poland is a commitment forever. The office is an honor. Poland is love. Yes, that's why I'm sure that the program I'm going to present must win and will win. Perhaps not yet today. I don't know, but it will win for sure, and that is what I will strive for with all my might. This was Mateusz Morawiecki's third address. In it, he summarized the achievements of the last 8 years of the law and justice government and indicated Poland's development prospects. The key investment is the Central Communication Port and the Polish nuclear program. The Central Communication Port is a great leap in Poland's civilization. It is a great transportation hub that will lead to new roads and high-speed rail. Within a radius of almost 1,000 kilometers, there is no airport as large as the one we are designing. As part of the Central Transportation Port, let's put aside the micromania. Please, High Chamber, let's put aside. We are not promoting the perspective of our enemies or our competitors. Let's allow Poland to break out into greatness. As Morawiecki spoke out, the Civic Coalition deputy Henryka Krzywonos stood with her back turned to the Prime Minister. I think it was more cultured that way than to curse him out, in other words. Thank you. Everyone presents such a bar for the level of personal culture, and Ms. Krzywonos has also put up this bar at her level. After the address, representatives of parliamentary clubs and parliamentary circles spoke out as part of the debate. Democracy is not when you shout and others have to listen. It is when you have a normal dialogue with NGOs, with the social side, with trade unions, with citizens, when you don't separate the authorities from the people, but simply go out to them and listen to their needs. All kinds of announcements that something will be verified here, such as the latest announcement that these recently concluded contracts will be verified. These are announcements that harm Polish security, that harm Poland's most important, elementary interests. MPs evaluated Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki's speech and the actions of the 8-year Law and Justice government. Law and Justice did not want to give up power because they were afraid of what we would discover in all those papers they wanted to hide. The Prime Minister spoke about the world in such a global dimension, where he showed the challenges that Poland faces, where he did not touch on matters of current politics, but spoke about how Poland should position itself in the face of challenges around the world, from artificial intelligence to creative industries to foreign investment. In the plenary session, MPs overwhelmingly from Law and Justice asked the Prime Minister dozens of questions. Under our government, there was a decrease in debt to GDP ratio. Under your government, there was an increase. And I wanted to ask, what is the basis for this success? And do you not have concerns that during the civic platform government, a common excuse will be used from before, that there is no money there, and there will be no money for those type of things? The two main taxes, PIT and CIT, which are important contributions to local governments, were shaped this way. I'm also addressing Mr. Paszek, because I think the city of Oborniki in Wielkopolska region is of great interest to you. Let me give you such an example, ladies and gentlemen. Oborniki Wielkopolskie, in 2015, 14.8 million from PIT, and in 2023, 24.4%, 65% more. MPs from the Civic Platform, Poland 2050, or the Polish People's Party were not interested in asking the Prime Minister questions. No, we do not have any more questions for Prime Minister Morawiecki. In a vote of confidence in the Sejm, Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki was supported by 190 Law and Justice deputies. As part of the second constitutional step, the Sejm elected Donald Tusk as Poland's Prime Minister.
In the second constitutional step, the Polish Parliament will entrust the mission of forming a government to Donald Tusk. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. local time, the leader of the Civic Coalition will deliver his programme. The vote of confidence for the parliamentary majority candidate will take place at 3 p.m.
All indications are that the Civic Coalition partners, including the Third Way and the Left MPs, will support Donald Tusk's cabinet in tomorrow's vote. The new government will include representatives of more than a dozen political factions with profoundly different views. The Civic Coalition supports Law and Justice's decision to raise the 500-plus monthly benefit for children to 800 zloty. On the other hand, Polish 2050 leader Szymon Hołownia regards the program as a handout. Internal friction began even before the coalition agreement was concluded. The bone of contention was the liberalization of the abortion law. Ultimately, this point was not included in the agreement. Most likely, Polish President Andrzej Duda will swear in Donald Tusk as the Prime Minister of Poland on December 13th.
Support for Ukraine and the latest sanctions against Russia are among the topics to be discussed at the meeting of EU foreign ministers. Yesterday's meeting of 27 ambassadors failed to resolve these issues.
I came here with a clear message of Ukraine's commitment to do its homework, to open accession talks and move towards membership in the EU. In return, in the spirit of partnership, mutual interests and reciprocity, we also expect the European Union to make a decision that will appreciate the European Union is unable to make decisions of historic nature and keep its promises.
As you know, Russia has increased their attacks. Kiev has suffered a couple of days ago the biggest air attack by drones since the beginning of the war. So the attacks against Ukrainian cities continues, but at the same time the casualties of the Russian army continues growing. That's the moment to put all our capacity to support Ukraine.
We've been promising Ukraine for almost 2 years to support Ukraine and mentioning this phrase. Many of us have asked, what does it mean? Does it mean Ukrainian victory? Does it mean any other strategic goal? Apparently it means that as long as it takes, it is as long as we can agree. And if we cannot, obviously that will have huge repercussions, first of all in Ukraine, but not just there.
I'm not worried, but the position of Hungary has indeed been very, very deplorable over the course of the past months. It is crucial that we keep on aiding Ukraine for as long as it's needed, and it's not only for the cause of Ukraine, but also for our own cause.
This is a crucial week for Europe, and it's a question: can we rise to the challenge and overcome difficulties? In the past, we have overcome all difficulties, and I will certainly do my utmost to overcome this as well. We may have to become very creative, but here we see one of the downsides of unanimous decision-making and the power of the veto.
As for the 12th package of sanctions, the only breakthrough in recent days concerned the agreement to ban the import of Russian diamonds. The EU will impose an embargo from January. However, other elements of the package are still under discussion, including a ban on LPG imports from Russia. Hungary does not want to agree to this and is also opposed to starting negotiations with Ukraine. Although the latest draft of the conclusions of the EU summit, which begins on Thursday, includes a sentence that the European Council agrees to start negotiations, the issue is not resolved and talks with Budapest are continuing. And hiding behind Hungary is a group of countries, among them Austria and Greece, which believes that the European Union should also promise to start negotiations with Bosnia-Herzegovina. And today, before dawn, Russian forces attacked the Ukrainian capital with 8 long-range ballistic missiles. 4 people were wounded by shrapnel after the missiles were shot down by air defences. It was the first attack on Kiev in recent months using ballistic missiles, which move more quickly than drones and cruise missiles and are harder to shoot down. All I have left is a heater and a saw and nothing else, and I just don't know what to do with it. I may have to renovate what's left of the house, redo the roof and rebuild the walls. See what friends and neighbours we have. They helped us a lot last night. I couldn't even imagine that something like this could happen. We didn't hear anything. It was quiet. We slept heavily at night. Then there was an explosion somewhere. Barefoot and almost naked, we ran out of the room. Later we found some clothes. We went outside and saw that everything had been destroyed and nothing was left. What will happen to us old people now? For the 2 of us, 2 elderly people, it was a huge stress. My husband is seriously ill. He's after 2 heart operations. That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, Poland Daily Business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.